Good morning. Yesterday was surprising for many, so I'm going to give you a follow-up on yesterday's rate announcement and where we're heading in the future in terms of rate cuts and future inflation. Let's start with oil. There's a bit of a recovery today, but not much. And of course, with this, gasoline is doing the exact same thing. It's up about 2 cents this morning. As I have been saying for a while, it is all about oil, and with what's happening in oil and what the prediction is for the future, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to rates. Let's start here. The Saudis are still not happy with the rest of OPEC. And when the Saudis are upset, they do very drastic things. There was a conference call recently where they threatened $50 a barrel oil. They backpedaled on that, said like it was taken out of context, but they can still do that. They have done that in the past. Twice. There is deteriorating cohesion among the group of major oil producers known as OPEC+. What's going on? There's just so many other producers out there. So, if your customers can go somewhere else to get a better deal, they will. So the members of OPEC Plus have been undercutting each other, making deals. And now the Saudis want to bitch slap everybody by dropping the price of oil to $50 a barrel. This hurts the Russians. It hurts all the strife that we're seeing in the world right now. The Russia-Ukraine war and the strife in the Middle East. If oil goes to $50 a barrel, or if it even drops to maybe $60 a barrel, we're going to see the end of these wars very rapidly. Remember, the only reason Russia is in Ukraine is to steal those oil fields and those natural gas fields. That's all they're trying to do. Don't believe me? Go look at the map of where the Russians are. The Russians agreed to a ceasefire and an end to the conflict if they could just keep the land that they've taken so far, which just happens to be all the oil lands and all the natural gas lands. What a happy coincidence. But if oil crashes, Russia won't have the money to pay for the war, nor will they have the reason to be in Ukraine. Everything that's happening in the Middle East will also magically evaporate. And here's the thing. There's this one country that was supposed to be sucking up a whole bunch of fossil fuels, and they're not. That country is China. Many people were banking on China sucking up a ton of fossil fuels, but they've become the world leader in green energy, especially electric cars. They make these really cool electric cars, super cheap, which is why we don't want those cheap cars here. Now, the topic of tariffs have been going around for quite a bit, so I'm going to explain tariffs for you. Tariffs are a tax on you for the product that you buy. So if you buy a Chinese electric car, you will pay for the car, and then you'll pay basically a 100% tax. And then you'll pay like the GST and stuff like that on top of that tax. Nothing like taxing tax. Now, the defense of this is that the Chinese government is subsidizing these electric car companies. Not at all like what we do here in Canada. Not at all how we subsidize oil and gas too. It's exactly the same thing we do. Just so you know. Like right now, an electric car is more expensive than a gas-powered car. So you're doing these mental gymnastics trying to figure out, okay, well, how much gasoline can I buy compared to the extra cost of the electric car? If the electric car costs you half as much, you won't care anymore. You'll just buy the electric car. And that's a problem for a country like Canada that pumps oil and builds cars. So with all that, it's not surprising that this morning they're saying that a jumbo rate cut is what's in the cards for the next rate announcement. We have a housing problem, and housing hinges upon debt. Like, if you're building a massive apartment building, let's say it's a 100-unit apartment building, and it costs you $100 million, that's $1 million a unit, and that has to be financed. So the cost per unit is going to be over $1 million. People want those to be affordable rentals. The only way to get affordable rentals is to get the cost of construction down. And a big part of that cost is debt. And as I showed yesterday, that's where we're headed for next month. And the last inflation announcement for 2024 will be November's. Of course, something can happen in the world to drive the price of oil up and throw this calculation off. That's what tends to happen. But for now, jumbo rate cuts are in the cards. For the next one, for the one after that, and this idea that they're going to stop at 2 or 3%. I will remind you that every rate hiking cycle has been followed by a rapid rate cutting cycle. Every one of them. We just had the most rapid rate hiking cycle in history. Will history repeat itself with the most rapid rate cutting cycle in history? We shall see.